In A Midsummer Night's Dream, the exposition and inciting moment of Act 1 set the stage for the comedy and complex interwoven plot lines that follow. In the exposition, Shakespeare primarily focuses on introducing the major fictional elements of setting, characters, and themes, thereby skillfully building the world in which the story's conflicts will unfold. The play opens with Theseus, the Duke of Athens, preparing for his imminent marriage to Hippolyta, the Queen of the Amazons. This event establishes the setting and introduces key characters, setting the tone for the rest of the play. Theseus is impatient for the arrival of his wedding day, which is to take place on the first day of the new moon. He complains that he is being made to wait and likens himself to a young man whose stepmother or widowed mother is growing old and spending his inheritance before he can get his hands on it. Now, fair Hippolyta, our nuptial hour draws on apace. 4 happy days bring in another moon. But oh, methinks how slow this old moon wanes. She lingers my desires, like a step-dame or a dowager long withering out a young man's revenue. Hippolyta, though initially an Amazonian warrior queen whom Theseus fought in battle, is now the embodiment of grace and royal decorum, and is, in contrast, much more relaxed about it all, as she calmly reassures him that the time will go soon enough. 4 days will quickly steep themselves in night. 4 nights will quickly dream away the time, and then the moon, like to a silver bow new bent in heaven, shall behold the night of our solemnities. Note how the references to both the full and the new moon in these first 2 speeches are significant. Rich with symbolism, they help set the stage for the play's main preoccupations. Not only does the new moon represent new beginnings and highlight the tension and anticipation leading up to the celebration, but the moon's cyclical nature also represents transformation and the transformative power of love. Additionally, the moon's phases contribute to the mystical and dreamlike quality of the events in the forest, while Hippolyta's mention of the crescent moon as a silver bow new bent in heaven suggests the play's connection to the night, dreams, and magic. The contrast between the full and the new moon also hints at duality and conflict. Just as the moon has different phases, the characters experience emotions and situations which lead to disagreements and discord. We will see that Shakespeare will use the play to explore themes of order versus chaos, reality versus illusion, and reason versus passion. Theseus is presented as a figure of authority, representing law and order, and it is to him that Egeus, a nobleman of the city of Athens, appeals to enforce Athenian law on his daughter Hermia. Full of vexation come I, with complaint against my child, my daughter Hermia. Stand forth, Demetrius. My noble lord, this man hath my consent to marry her. Hermia, however, has refused to marry Demetrius according to his wishes, as she is in love with Lysander. This filial defiance initiates what will be the central conflict of the play. Egeus has also dragged Lysander to this audience with the Duke, and he accuses him of having bewitched the bosom of his child. Not through magic, it appears, but through having showered her with love poetry and love tokens, and through serenading her with love songs at her bedroom window, all of which he believes to be insincere. Lysander, he says, has taken advantage of an impressionable young girl, and with cunning hast thou filched, i.e. stolen, my daughter's heart, turned her obedience, which is due to me, to stubborn harshness. He emphasises that, as his daughter, she is his property, and that it is his right to dispose of her, as he sees fit according to Athenian law. Either she marries Demetrius, or she shall go to her death. Theseus reminds Hermia that to you your father should be as a god, one that composed your beauties, yea, and one to whom you are but as a form in wax by him imprinted, and within his power to leave the figure, or disfigure it. In other words, her father has the final say over her fate. He made her, and he can just as easily destroy her, just as if she were a figurine modelled in wax. Hermia complains that she wishes her father could see Lysander through her eyes, while Theseus reminds her that she's got her perspective all wrong, and instead she should be looking at him through her father's. I would my father looked but with my eyes. Rather, your eyes must with his judgment look. Note that eyes and eyesight will be a significant motif running throughout the play, highlighting themes of love, perception, transformation, and the boundary between illusion and reality. Theseus thus decrees that if Hermia refuses to marry Demetrius, she must choose between death or living a life of chastity as a nun. Either to die the death or to abjure forever the society of men. He reminds her that she should have a long, hard think about what it is she truly wants, because choosing the life of a nun is not for the faint-hearted. He asks her to question whether you can endure the livery of a nun, for aye to be in shady cloister mewed, to live a barren sister all your life, chanting faint hymns to the cold fruitless moon. This proclamation not only makes the stakes even higher, but also highlights the societal constraints on personal freedoms that young unmarried women faced during Shakespeare's time. Demetrius tries to get Lysander to relinquish his claim on Hermia, but Lysander is steadfast, suggesting that his love is certainly not fake, as has been suggested by Egeus. He maintains that he is every bit as noble and as wealthy as Demetrius, and that he loves Hermia more than Demetrius does. His trump card, however, is that he has something Demetrius doesn't: Hermia's love in return. I am, my lord, as well derived as he, as well possessed. My love is more than his, my fortunes every way as fairly ranked, if not with vantage, as Demetrius's. And which is more than all these boasts can be, I am beloved of beauteous Hermia. He then proceeds to drop Demetrius right in it by revealing that he is nothing but a shady and dishonourable man who has already pursued Nidar's daughter Helena, to the point that she, sweet lady, devoutly dotes in idolatry upon this spotted and inconstant man. Theseus, however, distracted by his own wedding plans, does not seem to be bothered by Lysander's character assassination of Demetrius, and renews his calls for Hermia to make her mind up about whether she will marry him, live the life of a nun, or be put to death. Left alone, and in a tender exchange where they engage in a duet of alternating lines, Lysander and Hermia reveal the true depths of their feelings for one another. Lysander admits that everything he has ever read is evidence that the course of true love never did run smooth, usually because the two lovers are of different social class or age, or because family make the decision, or because war, death, or sickness did lay siege to it. Hermia, therefore, seems resigned to their fate. If then true lovers have been ever crossed, it stands as an edict in destiny. The inciting moment, or the event that starts the main conflict of the story, occurs at this point, when Lysander persuades Hermia to flee Athens with him to escape the harsh Athenian law, and so marry outside of its jurisdiction. Therefore hear me, Hermia, I have a widow aunt, a dowager of great revenue, and she hath no child. From Athens is her house remote 7 leagues, and she respects me as her only son. There, gentle Hermia, may I marry thee, and to that place the sharp Athenian law cannot pursue us. Hermia agrees that she will meet him in the wood, a league without the town, the next night, so that they can make their escape together. This decision to elope propels the plot into motion and sets the characters on a path that leads to the enchanted forest, where much of the play's action will unfold. In a subplot, Helena, Hermia's friend, is revealed to be in love with Demetrius, despite his pursuit of Hermia. She enters, clearly frustrated that Demetrius finds Hermia more physically attractive. Call you me fair? That fair again unsay. Demetrius loves your fair, oh happy fair. She is envious of Hermia's beautiful eyes and voice, and wishes that beauty were as infectious as sickness. Sickness is catching, oh, were favour so! Yours would I catch, fair Hermia, ere I go. My ear should catch your voice, my eye your eye, my tongue should catch your tongue's sweet melody. Observe how this pair also now engage in a duet of alternating lines, although note that these, in contrast to Hermia and Lysander's dialogue, are in rhyming couplets. I frown upon him, yet he loves me still. Oh, that your frowns would teach my smile such skill. I give him curses, yet he gives me love. Oh, that my prayers could such affection move. The more I hate, the more he follows me. The more I love, the more he hateth me. His folly, Helena, is no fault of mine. None but your beauty, would that fault were mine. Shakespeare would have had a number of reasons for switching from blank verse to rhyming couplets in this manner. Not only does this contrast draw attention to the importance of Hermia and Helena's dialogue, highlighting their roles as the central characters in the romantic plotline and underscoring their emotions and inner turmoil, but it also provides rhythmic variety to maintain the audience's engagement. We could also argue that while Hermia is trying to appease Helena by telling her that it's nothing that she has done to encourage Demetrius, the fact that Helena completes the couplet suggests that by connecting her speech back to Hermia's through rhyme, she remains unconvinced that Hermia is not the root of the problem. In other words, despite Hermia's protestations, Helena remains fixated on the idea that Hermia's beauty and actions are the cause of her suffering. In an attempt to give Helena some comfort, Hermia and Lysander confide in her that they are intending to run away, telling her not only at exactly what time they are going, tomorrow night when Phoebe doth behold her visage in the watery glass, but also at exactly which location, and in the wood where often you and I upon faint primrose beds were wont to lie, emptying our bosoms of their counsels sweet. There my Lysander and myself shall meet. Left to herself, Helena bitterly broods over Demetrius's infatuation for Hermia, and over the fact that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Things base and vile, holding no quantity, love can transpose to form and dignity. We will see the truth of this observation to comedic effect in Act 3, when Titania, charmed by Oberon's potion, falls in love with Bottom, who has been transformed with an ass's head. Desperate for Demetrius's affection, Helena decides to inform him of Hermia and Lysander's plan to escape, hoping that this will endear her to him. I will go tell him of fair Hermia's flight. Then to the wood will he tomorrow night pursue her, and for this intelligence, if I have thanks, it is a dear expense. Helena's unrequited love and her decision to betray her friend introduce yet another layer of complexity and set the stage for the comedic entanglements to follow. Act 1, Scene 2 introduces the subplot of the Athenian craftsman led by Peter Quince, who planned to perform the play, the most lamentable comedy and most cruel death of Pyramus and Thisbe, in honour of Theseus and Hippolyta's wedding. The craftsmen, including the overly enthusiastic and confident weaver Nick Bottom, whose speech is littered with malapropisms, provide comic relief and foreshadow the misadventures that will occur in the forest. Note how Shakespeare has these characters from a lower social class speak in prose to differentiate them from the nobles who speak in verse. Not only does this provide another contrast in order to signal their dramatic function, but also varies the rhythm to drive audience engagement. Quince assigns the roles, with Bottom eagerly volunteering for multiple parts. That, the part of Pyramus, will ask some tears in the true performing of it. If I do it, let the audience look to their eyes. I will move storms, I will condole in some measure. To the rest, yet my chief humour is for a tyrant. In other words, he says the audience should get their handkerchiefs at the ready, as his performance is sure to be a tearjerker. He does, however, think that he is much more suited to playing the part of a tyrant than a lover. In his next breath, however, he volunteers to play Thisbe as well, as long as he can hide his identity, as he is able to speak in a high voice. And may I hide my face, let me play Thisbe too. I'll speak in a monstrous little voice. Thisne, Thisne. Ah, Pyramus, my lover dear, thy Thisbe dear, and lady dear. This is laughable, not only because Thisbe is the very antithesis of a tyrant, but as the lady that Pyramus must love, it would be a physical impossibility for him to play both parts simultaneously. This scene's humour stems from Bottom's lack of self-awareness and Quince's tactful reining in of his enthusiasm. When Bottom suggests that he could also play the part of the lion, Quince, appealing to Bottom's vanity, diplomatically tells him that you can play no part but Pyramus, for Pyramus is a sweet-faced man, a proper man as one shall see in a summer's day, a most lovely, gentlemanlike man. Therefore you must needs play Pyramus. The scene and the act draw to a close as Quince urges them all to learn their parts before the next night, when they will meet, coincidentally, in the palace wood a mile without the town by moonlight. This subplot, while initially separate, will later intersect with the main narrative, adding to the play's intricate comedic structure. Act 1 concludes with Hermia and Lysander preparing to leave Athens and enter the forest, with Demetrius planning to set off after them, unknowingly followed by Helena. This transition from the structured, law-bound city to the wild, magical forest marks a significant shift in setting, where the rigid Athenian laws give way to the unpredictable forces of nature and magic. Through this act, Shakespeare sets up the central conflicts, introduces the key players, and hints at the transformative journey ahead. The audience is left anticipating the comedic chaos and romantic entanglements that will ensue as the characters venture into the enchanted forest. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos on English language topics and exam techniques and English literature texts.